first look at an Emberlit FireAnt which arrived yesterday. A very small package made of titanium. It's a bit fiddly to get out of the bag. It's quite a very lightweight bag, but it is a bit tight to get out. It comprises of 3 side panels, a door, a base plate, and also an optional platform for a solid fuel tab, which I'm not going to use today because I'm going to be using wood, which I've prepared here. So I'll put that to one side. Well, I'm going to try and put it together. It's quite cold today, my fingers are quite numb. It's going to be quite tricky. I'm not great at putting these things together anyway, they are quite fiddly. So let's have a look. The door to one side. So taking one panel as the back panel, making sure that they are aligned in the correct way. Slot that in there. Then the other side goes the other way around. I did try it yesterday indoors, which you'll see in another video, and it was okay. Got there in the end. Base plate slots in, and finally, and this is the trickiest part, as the slots here are opposites on either side, so it's a little bit tricky to slot it in accurately first time. So I'm going to do one side first and then the other. There you go, not too bad, and considering it's quite cold today, and it didn't take too long at all. So there you have it, that's the Emberlit FireAnt, which I'm now going to fire up. So you can change the camera angle so you get a closer look at it. So to give you an idea of the scale, I've put my enamel mug next to it. I could, if I wanted to, I suppose, just heat the mug, but I'm not going to. I'm going to use a Primus kettle, just a solar kettle. It's quite nice and small. Right, let's fire it up. So the first thing is my tried and tested pistachios. Don't waste anything. They're from Christmas. And this is my fire lighter. I'm going to get that going now while I can still see it, and then I'm going to feed it with some twigs. Unfortunately, because it's January, the twigs around, even though they're dead, are still quite damp, so it may produce quite a bit of smoke. Chuck a bit of string in there as well. So let's see if the kindling I have prepared takes. Fingers crossed. You can feed it from the front as well. That's what the space at the front is for. But at the moment, as there's nothing on the top, it's easier for me to feed it from the top. Getting a bit of smoke now because of the damp wood. I'm just using really small twigs at the moment to get it going. You can hear hissing as well. So moisture in the wood is evaporated. Not very efficient. Energy is being used up to evaporate the water. I'm hoping it's just dry enough to at least get it going. I'm just going to keep loading it until it's light enough to be able to fit twigs of a thicker diameter. These ones are a bit drier. So about the thickness of a pencil is all you need, and obviously just long enough to fit inside the combustion chamber. I've ordered about half a dozen different titanium wood burning stoves. and I'll do a first look on all of them, and then when they've all arrived I'll set up a fair test and have a burn off to see which one is most efficient at bringing a cup of water to the boil. Right, well, we'll leave that now, give it a chance to catch. Well, I eventually managed to coax it into life, and now start to add slightly bigger wood. Haven't got a lot left. I do keep some back, collect it from the beach during the summer. Some bakes it dry on the stones. And the fact it's burning a lot cleaner now is a good sign that the combustion process is more efficient. There's a lot less smoke now, which means that most of the gases are being burned. Okay, I'm confident now that that's going to stay lit, so now I'm going to pop the kettle on the top. We'll see how long it takes. The design of the FireAnt means that it's slightly tapered towards the top, which is channeling the flames into a smaller space, which is combusting the gases more efficiently and concentrating the flame. So when I eventually put the kettle on, the flames are being concentrated on the base of the kettle. Right, let's set a timer up. Okay, here we go. It's looking good now. So we'll just leave that. And again, you can watch it in real time, or you can fast forward at this point. What I am going to do while we're waiting is just give you a view of where I am this morning. The sun's just come up. It's quite beautiful here. Loads of bird life. Just watched a little egret poking about, fishing. There's just so many different birds here. Oyster catchers are piping away. It really is a beautiful sight. At the moment, you can't quite see it in the distance. The spinnaker tower shrouded in mist. Quite something. Anyway, back to the business in hand. Let's see if it needs a bit more fuel. So now I'm beginning to add slightly thicker twigs through that port. Just give them a poke in. Just going to take the kettle off at the moment just to give you an idea of the flame height. Not too bad. If the base of the flame is too high, the gases don't get a chance to combust properly, and that's what leaves that tarry residue on the bottom of any pots and pans and kettles that you use. Also because I'm using quite damp wood as well, so it's bound to leave a certain amount of residue. But it's easy enough to clean off, and it gives it a bit of character, I think. Okay, we're up to the 3-minute mark. I reckon it'll probably take about 7 or 8 minutes, so it's about halfway. So, stick a tea bag in. Typical in these videos, make yourself a cup of tea. That's just a means to an end really. What I'm really trying to show you is how well this stove works on its first look. And so far so good. Now it's just a question of feeding it every now and again when things start to damp down a little bit. Feed it some more. Okay, coming up to the 8-minute mark now. You can hear the kettle beginning to hiss. That's a good sign. And we see steam coming out of the kettle. I'll stop the timer. Yeah, see some steam now. Let's check if it's a rolling boil. You see bubbles on the bottom. So it came to the boil about 9 minutes. I'm just going to see if we can get it to a rolling boil now. It's amazing the difference it makes when you put the lid back on. See if we can get it to blast out the kettle hole. Bringing it to a boil in 8 minutes is pretty typical for these stoves, so it's not too bad. We had a fight with the wood, but it has got to a boil. And that is now at a rolling boil. And that was 10.5 minutes. Right. Time for a brew. Just going to leave that to burn down now. Well, that concludes my first look at the Emberlit FireAnt. I really like it. I think it's more my fault than the stove's fault that it took a while to catch. It's quite cold today. A combination of wet wood and forgetting a proper fire starter. I usually use recycled bicycle tyre inner tubes, but as usual I've forgotten something, and that was what I forgot today. And it's a good cup of tea. So there we have it. Just about cool enough now to pick up. Emberlit FireAnt, there we go. Yeah, good little stove.
Run like a race for family when you hear like you're alone. Rusty gears of morning, faceless